And back at the Classic in the Country, I'm joined by Richard Rhoad, who has Premier Deluxe Scouting Service at this year's Classic in the Country. And Richard, thanks for joining me once again, as we've got a chance to talk over the years. And you've been coming for the Classic in the Country for a long time.
A long time, probably more than 15 years. Yep. That's great event. Nothing like it in the country.
I was going to ask you about that. How does that compare to other events you see in the country?
Well, I would say that 5 or 6 years ago, it was without question unparalleled. Now there are so many events going on by so many different sponsors that country is still one of the very best, but there are some that are probably about pretty nearly as good now.
With that,
nothing in Ohio, though.
Sure, no doubt. And I guess talking about that, I guess adding on to that, you've seen how really girls basketball really has grown, right? It really has grown a lot over the course of the years in terms of the exposure for girls basketball. How has that grown?
You mean how is girls basketball?
How's it grown in the exposure, I guess, for girls basketball, the attention for girls basketball? How has that grown?
Oh, amazing. What did Caitlin Clark have just from Iowa? You know, she has done wonders for basketball as well as many others. J.C. Sheldon here in Ohio has just done wonders for Ohio basketball. The attendance is up. The revenue is up. The interest is up among fans. And it's great to see that because girls are just as important as guys.
And it's great to have events like this because it gives the chance to showcase those girls and what they can do.
Absolutely. And, you know, these girls, if you don't believe they're good, you ought to get out and play against them because, believe me, they are terrific athletes.
No question about that. Now, Premier Deluxe Scouting Service, Richard, can you explain a little exactly what that is?
We are a completely 100% free scouting service, completely independent. We do no favors to anyone. We tell it like it is. We post on Twitter and give recommendations for girls. We see girls all over the country. Right now we have seen 69 of the top 100, the first 69 of the top-rated 2024 players in the nation, and all but one of the top freshman players in the nation, for example. So, yes, we're out and about and have been doing this since 2009.
That's terrific. Now, when you're out scouting a player here and players, and when you're after these events, how do you go about kind of grading players and scouting players when you're putting together a report like for a coach?
Well, there are some in this business who are definitely better than I am and quicker. Dan Olson is one of them. Brett McCormick is another one. I don't like to judge on one game because a girl can look very, very good, and that's not really as good as she looks. On the other hand, a girl can have a terrible game, and you say, huh? And yet, that's just out of character for her. So I like to see them 2 and 3 times. And some girls you can spot right off the bat. They've got terrific athleticism, and those are easy to spot. Other girls don't have that same look, but they're producers. And producers are every bit as important, if maybe even more important, than athletes. So we take our time. If we see someone, we go back and see them again, try to get as good a reading as we can on them.
Richard, what are maybe the top states in your mind, talent-wise, for girls basketball, and how does Ohio maybe compare to that?
It depends on the year. Now, this year I would say Ohio's senior class does not compare overall with the, say, places like California and Texas and so on, and some other states. But for the 2025, the junior class, D. Alexander is rated top is rated number 5 in the country. And we're going to see here tonight and also tomorrow Sanaya Hall of Laurel Academy, who is rated number 3 in the nation in her class and is in the top 10 of all of the high school players regardless of class. So yes, Ohio does produce over the years almost as many as any other state, but it will vary from year to year.
Now, besides Sanaya Hall, any other players that really in particular you're excited to see this weekend here at the Classic of the Country? Besides Sanaya Hall, any other players you're really in particular excited to see at this year's Classic that really stand out to you?
Well, of course, we just finished seeing Mari Girton, who is an excellent point guard, very flashy, a little inconsistent from time to time, but there's no question of this girl's ability. She can do things athletically that few girls can do. I think there's a girl playing right now, Sienna Allen, from Portsmouth, who we haven't seen enough of her to really categorize her, but we know she has a lot of promise. So those are a couple I can think of off the top of my head. But I know that there are the country always has some of the top players in Ohio.
All right.
One more.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, we have a team from Michigan coming in.
Yeah.
And they have a girl who may be the best, in my opinion, the best freshman in the country. Happens to be the daughter of the assistant athletic director at the University of Michigan.
Wow.
So she'd be here tomorrow.
Looking forward to that, that's for sure. Richard, thanks for your time as always.
Well, it's always a pleasure doing these things with you.
All right, Richard, thank you very much. That is Richard Rhoad with Premier Deluxe Scouting Service at this year's Classic in the Country.